Chapter 2. Ray. The short list of things he had never expected to happen. Josiah to be in Vegas on the same weekend as him. Josiah to approach him and kiss him. Josiah to be curled around him, buck-ass naked the next day. The kiss. It was heart-stopping, and it spread electricity through Ray's entire body. He wasn't a stranger to intimacy. He'd kissed hundreds of people, and at least a handful in the current month. Yesterday, he had woken up next to a woman whose name he couldn't remember, and they had enjoyed an anonymous morning session before he dressed for a business meeting and she showered his cum off of her tits. He went to the meeting with her juices still on his cock, and he showered her away afterwards. But despite his own kinks, Josiah's kiss excited him more. It excited him so much they stumbled out of the bar into the elevator and up to Josiah's private suite. Ray only needed one kiss for the floodgates to burst open, and he showered Josiah with kisses, tasting his rich mahogany skin as they made their way up to Josiah's suite. Once inside, the other man ripped at Ray's clothes, undoing his tie and shoving his blazer down his broad shoulders. Josiah fisted the buttons of his shirt until he had exposed Ray's bare chest, then his mouth found Ray's skin. Plush bee-stung lips slid over Ray's sharp abdominal muscles and swept over his already hardened nipples, stealing his breath again. Everything in him wanted Josiah, but the timing was off. With a low groan, he fought away from the other man. "Second," he rumbled. Josiah gave a little giggle, nodded, and stripped himself. He ripped his t-shirt over his head, revealing lean muscles, dark brown nipples, and a diamond of tight curls in the center of his chest. He removed his bottoms too, and Ray's mouth watered when his eyes landed on Josiah's cock. The skin there was darker than the rest of Josiah's body, but velvety smooth, with thick veins accenting the terrain. The glistening pink head called to him, begging him for attention, but with another groan he shook his head. Josiah wouldn't remember. If he did, he'd be mortified and embarrassed. He picked up the son of his father's rival at a Vegas bar and dropped his pants in front of him. It took a fair amount of convincing and even more control before he had assured Josiah that all the drinks had ruined his performance, and Josiah's broken-hearted expression clenched his insides, but he didn't change his stance. Josiah deserved the perfect first time. If he was going to wait so long anyway, and be public about the whole process, then losing it through rebound sex wasn't acceptable. He deserved a candlelit dinner with a man who thought the sun shined out of his ass, rose petals scattered over the bed, and a meeting of the minds, and if Ray had any control over it, he'd get everything he deserved. He eventually persuaded Josiah to relax in the bed with him, and soon enough, the other man fell into a heavy sleep. Ray pet the top of his head, raking his fingers over tightly coiled waves as Josiah nestled into him. He stayed awake for a while after him, listening to his light snoring and matching their heartbeats, but eventually he fell asleep too. When he woke the next morning, Josiah had stretched further on top of him, his hard cock pressing into Ray's hip and his face tucked into his side. Shallow breaths tickled his skin and sent chills down his spine, and after a few tantalizing moments, he got out of the bed, sliding a pillow in his place and calming himself down with a cold shower. He hadn't wanted another person as much as he wanted Josiah, and he'd hoped his little childhood fantasy would go away with time, but all of his youthful desires came rushing back to him. "Ray?" Josiah called, sleep softening the edges of his deep baritone voice. "Oh God. I'm going to be sick." "Hang on." Ray wrapped a towel around his hips and rushed out of the bathroom, grabbing the nearest trash can as Josiah bent over the bed. His stomach rejected the alcohol he'd had the previous night. "Oh," he groaned. It was vile, and Ray clenched his jaws while he rubbed Josiah's shoulders. Josiah puked again before he wiped his lips with his forearm and flopped back on the bed. "I feel like shit. Is this how I'm supposed to feel? When you have as much liquor as you had last night, yeah. This is right on target." Ray chuckled, carrying the trash can through the suite and setting it right outside the door. "Probably not the best place for this, but I guess someone'll come by and get it. You. Turn the lights off. It's too bright in here." "The lights are already off. It's your floor-to-ceiling windows facing the rising sun lighting the room." "Okay, make it go away then." Just make it go away. I'll do what I can, Ray replied, but he moved in the opposite direction of the windows. Instead, he moved into the kitchen and grabbed a glass from the cabinet, filling it with tap water and taking it into the bedroom. You're probably dehydrated, so drink this. He placed the drink on the bedside table. No, Josiah groaned. I have a headache, I'm dizzy, and I'd puke again if I had anything to puke up. I think I'm dying. You literally have a hangover, and you'll be just fine. Drink the water, and then tell me what you want for breakfast. Are you always this bossy? Ray dug around the floor for his cell phone, pulling it out of the interior pocket of his blazer. Actually, yeah. Yeah, I am. Fan-fucking-tastic, I guess. Yeah, I guess too. Drink, and if you don't give me a breakfast preference, you're getting rice, some soup, and some grilled fish. Josiah sat up and grabbed the glass of water, eyeing it with an uneasy expression before taking a small sip. Those aren't breakfast foods. I want grits, eggs, and bacon. Oh, and maybe a waffle. All right. Ray put his cell phone to his ear and placed their order with the staff downstairs. Then he texted his business partner and his secretary before putting his cell phone away again. Food should be here shortly. Josiah drank a little more of the water. How do you feel now? Less nauseated. Good. Ray raked his fingers through his damp hair, pulling it back into a low bun and securing it with a thick hair tie. After grabbing their discarded clothes from the floor, he draped his slacks over a chair in the kitchen, smoothing out the wrinkles, and he repeated the process for his shirt and blazer. Once his skin had dried, he traded the towel for his briefs and hung the towel in the bathroom before migrating back into the kitchen. Josiah joined Ray in the kitchen, hanging in the doorway as he adjusted his clothes. Hi. Ray. Yeah? Ray glanced up from his task. What's up? Did we what? Josiah crossed his bare legs over each other, hiding his flaccid cock behind one corded thigh, and one hand gripped the doorframe. The shy question lingered on his tongue, but without the alcohol in his system and the heartbreak fresh on his mind, the words didn't pass his lips. Did we have sex? You don't remember. Ray arched an eyebrow. Please don't. Just tell me if we did or didn't. I don't have time for your games. We didn't. Josiah breathed a deep sigh of relief. We didn't have sex or we didn't do anything. We didn't do anything except kiss. Then why were we naked? Why was I naked? Ray lifted his eyebrows. Why were you naked? Because you took your clothes off, and by the way, you look damn good naked. Your cock? Delicious. Whoever gets to put their mouth on it is going to be a lucky fucking person. Inappropriate. With the way you threw yourself at me last night, I definitely think not. Josiah lifted his chin. I didn't. Oh, you definitely did, and I must say it was sexy. Not the throwing, but the confidence. The confidence was hella sexy. Well, thank you. I guess? Josiah wrinkled his smooth forehead and pressed the corners of his lips together. Why didn't you? Didn't I what? Why didn't you have sex with me? You fuck anything with a pulse. I do, but not people who can't really consent. Josiah shook his head. You're lying. Am I? I guess you're on the wall of every suite I check into then. Guess you've seen me with my tongue deep in someone's ass or my cock buried in pussy. Josiah's cheeks bloomed with color. Okay, enough. I haven't, but I'm not going to pretend like you're some bad boy with a secret heart of gold. I bet the only reason you didn't sleep with me is because people would paint you as the bad guy for taking someone's virginity when they're trashed. Or maybe I didn't do it because I thought you deserve more than a drunken one-night stand. The corners of Josiah's lips turned down. I'm going to go with my statement because it's the more plausible one. Anyway, you can stay for breakfast, but then you have to go. Was planning on it. I have a meeting at 11 anyway. Perfect, and we can pretend like this never happened. And of course, if you try to spread rumors about me, I will have my lawyers contact yours. I have no reason to spread rumors about you, Josiah. I'm sure. Dipping out of the kitchen, Josiah moved into the main room of the suite, collapsing bare-assed onto the couch and turning on the television. He flipped channels until he landed on the news, and the reporter's voice filtered through the place. With novel virus cases going from 100 to 5,000 in a matter of days, the President of the United States has passed an executive order, issuing a mandatory lockdown for the entire country. Only people who are deemed essential workers, such as hospital personnel, emergency first responders, and grocery food service workers, can leave their residence. Anyone found leaving their residence without just cause will be subjected to fines and potential jail time. Wait. What? Ray called, discarding his task and moving into the living room. He folded his arms across his chest as he turned his attention to the reporter on the screen. Basically, Josiah started, but the reporter's voice cut him off. The president feels the best way to handle this sudden outbreak is to take aggressive precaution. We know nothing about the nature of this virus, there is no cure, and because of these things, he feels the best way to keep the citizens of our great country safe is to take these aggressive precautions. This order is effective immediately.